everything.
Hey guys, today we're going to be talking with Stephen Mayeux, who is a self-taught full stack developer. We're going to talk about how he learned, where he learned, which was while he was teaching English in Korea. We're going to be talking about advice to get a job. As always, we'll be taking subscriber questions at the end, and we got a lot of good ones. And we cover, a little bit of how he got his job, his interview at Google when he did that, and a little bit of everything. So I hope you guys enjoy it. I had a lot of fun, and probably do a follow-up interview with Stephen down the road.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, life is good, man. Congratulations on the developer job. I know it's probably been about 5 weeks, 6 weeks.
A little less than that, maybe 3 or 4 weeks. But
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a wild ride so far.
Nice, man. What do you what are you doing? Are you do front end, or you do back end, full stack? What are you working with?
Full stack. It's for a consultant, web consultancy in Austin, Texas. So we do client work, and right now I'm working on a lot of different projects. One in React Native. Last week, one in Ruby on Rails. I think in the future I'm going to do some PHP. So it's all sorts of stuff.
Nice, man. I was really excited to hear that. I know. This is your first developer job, right?
The first real official, yeah, the whole shebang.
It isn't like I'm only a month before you, and it's
Yeah.
Exciting, right?
Yeah. It kind of scary and intimidating, but it's a lot of fun too. It's really exciting.
Yeah, I know. Like for me, I don't want to say I had a panic attack, but I was a little concerned, because they're paying you real money now, right? So you're going in there and you're like, I have to deliver. Like, am I actually competent enough that I can be a developer, or am I going to show up and embarrass myself? Like, that was something that went through my head.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, but I'm glad to hear that. So I had a few topics that I wanted to cover, and if any of them are not off limits or anything, we'll just skip over them. But I wanted to talk about, I know a while back you had said that you interviewed with Google. I know it didn't work out, but I'd love to talk about the interview process.
Okay, sure.
I would like to talk about also, your new job, maybe how you, how you applied, how your whole kind of thought process, any advice you'd have for people as well.
Okay.
And then I would like to talk about, you were teaching overseas English, right?
Yeah, I was teaching ESL in Korea.
And if I remember correctly, you taught yourself basically how to code during that time.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And I'm a big proponent of that. If you're a young person and you're not really tied down anywhere, go to Asia, go to Korea, make a living, supporting yourself as an English teacher. And then all of your free time, just teach yourself a skill like programming. And in 1 or 2 years, you'll have a nice, sack of change saved up, and you've got job ready skills. So I'm happy to talk about that today.
Okay, great. Let's start there.
Okay.
So, was it a 1-year program? Is that typically how these teach overseas programs go?
Yeah, every place is different, but in Korea you usually sign a 1-year contract, and I was there for 2 years. So I went there summer 2014, and I didn't really become interested in coding and take the learning seriously until the end of my first contract. And then from that, I thought, okay, one more year in Korea, and I could totally find a job whenever I get back. And so that's whenever I started hitting it really hard every week.
Okay, so before you actually moved to Korea, did you kind of have a thought process planned ahead of time, or was it just something you picked up, or were you look, I'm gonna teach English, and the whole time I'm there, my plan was I'm gonna start learning some skill, maybe programming, maybe something else, or did you just hey, I have this great opportunity, I should learn a skill? How did that really work out for you?
Well, I've been a professional English teacher. My master's was in teaching English, and I had been doing that for several years before going to Korea. So I thought that, I would be in teaching for a little bit, longer heading over there. But I think I was just getting tired of moving around all the time. If you're a teacher, that jobs abroad are more plentiful and more lucrative than they are at home. So I was getting, tired of that. I kind of felt like, well, this isn't really challenging, or, like I sort of plateaued. I'm not learning as much as a teacher anymore. So what could what career move could I prepare for that would require like minimal funds, maybe, no loss of time going to like, back to school? What could I do on my free time in Korea? And so, after a bit of, brainstorming, I realized I like computers. I made a few websites for my teaching endeavors before, like on WordPress, and enjoyed that process. So I decided, why not let me learn programming, and I'll be a programmer like whenever I go back home.
What did you, so once you kind of came to that decision, how did you kind of get started on your learning path? Like, did you start doing Codecademy, Free Code Camp, or did you start hitting the books? What was kind of your process?
Yeah, I started, watching my friends learn how to code on Facebook. They would, post, some links, or, some links to their projects or links to tutorials. So I started there with Codecademy. I kept seeing that appear like on my Facebook friends list, and just on Google searches. And like, I went through all those tutorials really quickly. So at the end of it, I don't know. I still couldn't like make a website. But someone had mentioned Free Code Camp, and I started learning alone with their platform online, and I really liked how they had an entire sort of path that could take you, an entire year with all the skills that you need to work in a startup in the United States. So I really liked it. It was already mapped out. They had like tons of practical projects, and there was sort of like a community, like online and on the ground, people you can interact with. So shortly after I started learning with Codecademy, I jumped into Free Code Camp, and that's what I've been using for about, like, I want to say 60 or maybe 70% of my learning resources, just all the free activities and projects I had to do to get my Free Code Camp certificates.
Yeah, see, a lot of people are like, well, is this really going to help you? But I would say most of my success has come from Free Code Camp also.
Yeah, I agree.
Learning it's more so like, not that I didn't know I could make projects. It was just I never actually, like the project section specifically, was I never sat down and made anything before. Like, it's all algorithms and like homework and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And Free Code Camp gave me was something to showcase employers, to be like, hey man, I made these 10 one-page applications. I can actually code something. And they're like, all right, that, and sometimes it's just enough to get your foot in the door.
Yeah, what I like about those projects too is, and it's what I like about it is maybe something that other people don't like about it. I think it's like a personal preference, but the projects, they go slightly like above your current ability, like not like super like way above your head, but just like slightly above what you already know. So that kind of like pushes you to, go on Google or Stack Overflow and find those answers. And I found that like when I was constantly in that state doing a task that was slightly above my current ability, I mean, boy, like that's how like I learned. And it's not easy. It's sometimes like very frustrating, this working on a project on your own or with a group of people. But yeah, just those assignments and the algorithm challenges and the projects front end and back end, they just prepare you for the types of problems you'll encounter in the real world. So yeah, for that, I love it. I know other people, they want more guidance, or they want to be like 100% prepared before starting a project. But for me, I'm comfortable with a little bit of uncertainty and kind of jumping into the deep end.
Well, I mean, in reality, when you become a developer, you're not going to have anybody to guide your hand the whole time. And you're like, when your boss says, hey, I need you to do this, you do it. And there's not going to be your channel or my channel doing a guide how to build your project you're building.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, unfortunately, I'm at a small enough company, and everyone there is super helpful, and they encourage me to ask a lot of questions. But I try to balance that and try to work it out on my own, or find a solution somewhere. But you're right. I mean, the specific language or the specific projects that you make, I guess, are not that important. It's just developing that problem-solving skill, and learning how to remain calm. Don't get too frustrated, and just sort of process of elimination, trying different things. So I think that sort of skill has to be taught, or you have to pick it up in some way to be a software developer.
Yeah, definitely. How many like people are on your team, software wise?
So there's one on my team. There's another full stack developer and a front end developer, and then we have our project manager, and that's it. On another team, they have only one full stack developer, not two, and one front end engineer with the project manager. So, like, for the whole company, there's 6 or 7 of us.
Okay.
So very small.
All right, that's kind of similar to my work. There's basically a senior dev who's kind of full stack, but he basically just handles back end. There's myself for the front end, another guy for the front end.
Oh, cool.
Then we have an intern, and then we have one remote full stack dev that kind of is part-time. But yeah, it seems to be one of the things I really like is just having another programmer to bounce ideas off, because I don't know how many times you're 4 hours in and your brain's kind of a little foggy and you're like, what the hell am I doing wrong here? Like, having like another person just to to help you plan or to answer your questions, especially if they have like more experience than you. You can't replace that. I think that's so valuable, pair programming and just brainstorming with other people. And yeah, you're right. It's frustrating to work on something alone for so long, but you start talking to it with another person, and then, how come I hadn't thought of this like earlier? That I love that reason for it too. Just talking with other programmers. I find myself asking a question, and like a lot of times you'll when you're coding something, right, you'll have to explain what you're trying to do. And like, I'm trying to do this. This is what's happening. And before you even like finish, this is what's happening. For me, it's like, oh fuck, I already just solved it right now. Like, just explaining it out.
Just even the action of just talking out loud, and some people say like buy a rubber ducky and talk to your rubber ducky, and I think just saying it out loud and trying to like understand your problem. Like, you're right. Like, most cases are happen just like that. You're talking or explaining to somebody, and then I hadn't thought of that. Like, thanks for listening, and then you go back and do your work. That happens to me all of the time.
Now, did you ever consider working remotely, or were you always like, look, I'm going to work at a company to start, or you have any thoughts about that?
Well, I wanted to, my first job, I wanted to work with a team, especially with experienced developers. I know there's like advantages to working remotely, but I had spent most of my time learning programming on my own, and going and working remotely. That would have been great, not commuting to work, but just constantly like siloed. I wanted to shake that up. So I decided to, join a company and, get some experience working alongside, people who are more experienced than I am. But that might be something I'd be interested in the future, working remotely. I can see why a lot of people, like that.
Yeah, I find that like when I talk with people who haven't really got their first job, they're like, yeah, I'm going to work remote as my first job. And I'm just like thinking to myself, that's an awful idea. Because like you need other people, because even the remote devs work with other people, and you need that experience as well of just, I'm going to pick up as much as I can, even for a couple years, and then go remote. but everyone has this like glorified, I'm going to stay at home, I'm not going to wear pants, and I'm going to code all day.
Well, you read about it like a lot of these, great blog posts of digital nomads, and they're going to Thailand for 3 months, and then to Vietnam, and all of these like great places, and I think a lot of people a lot of young people and people not tied down, that's what they want to do. They want to be digital nomads. It's a very fun lifestyle, and being an expat's really fun. I was an expat in Asia, and it's just living in a different country, different culture, or even just staying at home, most of the time. That's like a lot of fun. But I agree. I think in the very beginning, even if you have taught yourself a long time or have gone to a boot camp, you're still really junior. Like I feel like I'm still very junior. I'm only a month on the job, and I have like lots to learn. And I feel like you can just accelerate that if you're in the same room as other programmers. Doing it remotely or working for yourself, you could still learn, just maybe not as quickly as somebody like us who go to a company.
How was your like application process with like when you're like, okay, I think I'm ready to start applying places. I feel confident enough as a junior developer. When did you know? And then also, how did you go about it when you were looking for work?
So for the first question, when I started applying, I didn't feel like, like 100%, like, yeah, I'm going to show up on the first day and be like a badass developer. I still had doubts and, confidence issues with that. But, I had like one more month in Korea before coming back to America. And I thought, okay, well, ready or not, I should hit the ground running and start working whenever I get home. So let me just start applying now, even though I don't personally feel ready. And let's just get the ball rolling. And yeah, definitely, I've had like some bad interviews where, walked away like feeling terrible. I've had like some really good technical interviews too, where I like had a huge boost in confidence, and it helped convince myself that I could really do this. I could really make it happen. So even if you feel like you're not 100% ready, I mean, just do it. Just apply to places, or try to get in touch with hiring managers, and if you can sneak in like a first interview and get invited to a technical interview, that's just more practice for you, even if they don't wind up hiring. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. If you could, honestly, if you can honestly, answer, like, am I qualified for this job? Or, could I learn and fill in some of the gaps on the job? Just go for it. You don't have to be like, a badass developer right off the bat.
Mm-hmm. Now, so after you decided like I'm going to start applying, was there any sort of sites that you used? How did you kind of go about it?
Okay, so I looked at a couple of websites, but without too much luck. Like I've used Indeed, and I think I had like some account set up like at Stack Overflow and a few other places. And I would send out like maybe 10 or 20 applications in a weekend, just bam bam bam. More often than not, those places didn't respond to me. Maybe 1 out of 20 applications that I applied through a job site, somebody got back to me. So that was really tough to crack. The best method for me, at least, was contacting people directly on LinkedIn and just initiating a conversation with them. The way I got my current job, I didn't apply formally, and I didn't even know they were hiring. But I had noticed someone viewed my profile on LinkedIn, and that he was a project manager at this company. So I said, hey, what's up? you checked out my profile. Do you guys need any developers right now? And so through that conversation that I initiated, we went back and forth. I learned more about them, and they said, yeah, we're always hiring and looking out for good devs. So, let's have this like a first interview to see if it's a good fit. And, boom, got my foot in the door with that company, and I didn't even apply, put together my resume or anything like that.
Nice. Yeah. I always tell people when they like start applying, some people don't do the basics, right? Like you have to have your LinkedIn together.
Yep.
You have to have it look like you're a developer as much as you can, right? Put anything on it that shows you're a developer, and take the initiative. When people are scanning your pages, go ahead and shoot them a message. I mean, that's the whole point. LinkedIn. Also, a lot of people don't realize that if you sign up for like the LinkedIn Premium, when you apply to jobs, it goes to the top of the list. And, a lot of these jobs get hundreds of applications sometimes.
Yeah.
That can be a value as well. That's interesting, though. So you're just like, hey, girl, I saw you looking at my portfolio.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how it went. Like, hey, I see you checking me out. Let's take this to the next step, to the next level. And they responded well to that. So they said, okay, what's your GitHub, or send over your resume. Okay, you don't have any experience. Well, we can work with that. Let me give you some coding assignments and see how well you do with those. And so yeah, like don't be afraid to reach out. The worst thing that will happen is they tell you they're not interested at the moment, or they're not hiring at the moment. But yeah, that's what LinkedIn is for networking and connecting to people like professionally.
And one of the things I found very interesting was the realm of like, because it sounds like you got hired pretty quickly. Me, I had so many different programming challenges and like different types of interviews, phone interviews, email interviews. I had video chat interviews. I had coding challenges that were like very basic to like, you basically want me to build an entire web application. It's crazy depending on the company that you apply for, how vastly different the interview process can be.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For mine at my company, first it was like a general interview. Then I had a coding challenge that they gave me. And funny story is, they first gave me the challenge while I was still in Korea, and yeah, I was working as a full-time teacher. And I had some gaps in knowledge at the time, so I couldn't finish the challenge, and I submitted it incomplete. And they said, okay, yeah, your front end is good, but your back end needs some work. So we're not ready to hire you. But that like really upset me, because I thought, dang, I lost some time. I didn't have I wasn't like at home. I was working, so I'm gonna redo the assignment and like submit it to them again. So I did that a month later, and that really like caught their attention, because they had never had an applicant like redo a coding challenge after after getting rejected. So they were like, wow, that's never happened. How about we give you another coding challenge? Now that you're back in America, you have more time to do it, and then we'll go from there. So I did that one. Had like a final interview, and yeah, I was offered a job like on the phone, like on the spot. It just like happened like really fast, and suddenly I was like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, let's do this. So yeah, just reach out to people, talk to them. You'll never like, like I was just surprised by like how quickly everything worked out, and how open people are to talking to you on LinkedIn.
Nice. Now let's jump over to I remember that, if I remember correctly, a friend of yours who works at Google set you up with an interview.
Yes.
What you want to share a little tidbit about like the process and anything that you thought might have been interesting about that?
Yeah, totally. So I have a friend. He's a linguist, and so he works. He's not a software developer, although he does know some programming. But he used the Google like referral program. So Google employees, they refer their friends or family to Google's like hiring pool. And I didn't ask him. I just asked him like general questions about like working at Google and what it's like. And he offered it to me. He said, "Oh, I'll totally refer you, just to get you through the side door." And when he did that, a Google recruiter reached out to me. We had like a 30-minute phone call, and he thought, okay, well, I think you're ready for a technical interview. So we scheduled that. They gave me like 3 weeks to prepare for it. And then I had my technical interview, which was totally not what I was expecting. And they told me to read certain books. They recommend things like Cracking the Coding Interview and like really computer science heavy like books like that to brush up on. My interview was a little bit different, and I can't go into it like too detailed because like I had to sign documents saying I couldn't like reveal like exact questions and things like that. But man, that was just like really intimidating, really scary. There were some general questions followed by a coding challenge, and I couldn't finish the challenge like during the phone call. But like a week later, I thought, let me try the coding challenge again. And like I finished it in 5 minutes, and I was like, dang it, like I was just like so nervous, and I totally screwed up my chance to do well on that Google interview. But maybe next year or in a couple of years I'll try again and just remind myself to keep it cool and don't sweat the technical interviews too much.
All right, nice. Yeah, I always wondered like what it sounds like we can't get into the details too much, which is where all the interesting stuff is from. But I always wondered like, damn, I wonder what sort of ridiculous challenge you would have to be to get a developer gig at like Google or Facebook or one of those companies.
Well, they stress in a lot of the recommended videos and resources they give you to prepare for it. There's like a recurring theme that like getting it right the first time or like even finishing it's not like a hard and fast requirement. Basically, a Google interviewer, they want to hear like your thought process, and they want to hear you thinking out loud, asking really good clarifying questions, and solving it quickly without speaking. That could even be like perceived as negative like during a Google interview. So it's challenging, and Google, they're doing their due diligence to find good developers, but it's not like it's not as crazy as one might imagine it would be.
Nice. I'm applying today. No,
go for it, man. Yeah.
One day. Let's see here. All right, guys. In about 5 minutes or so, we're gonna. If anybody has any questions for myself or Steven, go ahead and type them out in chat, and we'll answer them. How do you like living in Texas?
Yeah, Texas is great. I live in Austin, which is it's a progressive city, and it's unlike any other place in Texas. It's sort of like if any viewers are from like the South, I'm originally from Louisiana, another conservative state, but like New Orleans is sort of like open and tolerant and party central. Austin is sort of the same thing in Texas. It's a really cool place, and there's like so many companies here. You got Intel, you got Dropbox, HomeAway. There's so many great companies, big and small. I really like Austin so far.
All right, Albert Ramos asked, since there are almost no dev jobs in my small town, should I list a different city to get on people's radar? I'm guessing he's talking like on LinkedIn or something like that.
Well, man, that's a really difficult question for me. Like I've always become accustomed to moving around and letting employers know that I'm open to relocating. I'm not sure about the personal situation of this viewer here. What I would say to him is location or casting a wider net might be a good idea. It couldn't hurt, but also have a friend or a mentor give a good review of your LinkedIn profile. For me, changing your title or sort of that subtitle that you have on your profile, when I changed it to full stack web developer, I started getting like more views to my profile, more people asking and requesting to connect with me. Being very specific and like writing out like really concise but like measurable and descriptive sort of phrases for your past jobs and projects. I mean, this is the stuff people are looking for. So get a good review of your LinkedIn profile. Be very specific. Include like measurements. Display your hard work, and call yourself full stack web developer for your LinkedIn profile. And for me, it worked. Perhaps recruiters, search for certain terms like that, just change your title to something else.
Yeah. I know.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I know. For me, when I was applying, so I'm in Florida now, and I was applying. I was willing to move anywhere in the United States, basically.
Yeah.
And I love Florida, by the way. Now, no income tax has sold me, but in terms of
Texas too. Yeah, no income tax in Texas.
Hey, one of the places I was looking at, I was ready.
Cool.
But in terms of if you're willing to move around, you need to have that kind of on your resume if you submit a resume. Because I know that I got considered much more when I just put like my little statement like, working hard, developer, willing to relocate for a great opportunity. You just put that willing to relocate in there. Those people will tend to look at your resume much more than you're out of state. Yeah,
that kind of worked both ways for me when I was talking to recruiters. A lot of recruiters, they'll hire locally or regionally. So it's a little unusual if you're far away and they're like, okay, well, why did you apply through my recruitment agency or over here in like Maine, but you wanna talk to us in Colorado? So you just have to explain yourself like you said, very very clearly, because that can be confusing to recruiters because they often, look, kind of like short distances.
And you will get turned down by like recruiter agencies that only do in-house interviews. So don't take it personally, because it happened to me a bunch of times where they were like very interested and they're like, oh, you live in California? Well, we're in Texas. Do you want to drive out? I was like, do you want to fly me out? Because I'm not about to do that drive.
Yeah.
All right, let's see here. Good question, by the way, Albert. I like that one.
Yeah, thanks, Albert.
Where's Waldo asks, when you first started coding, did you tend to forget elements or functions, or did you get it right away? A lot of people seem to have like a hard time remembering syntax and format and things like that.
Yeah, when I first started out, I was making like flashcards using like the Anki, and like on my commute to work on the subway, I would go through the flashcards to review the syntax. But I stopped doing it because it took a long time to prepare those flashcards, and I found that just working on tons of projects like all of the time, you do it like again and again and again. Eventually, you just like it's this muscle memory. And if I ever forget something, I mean that's why we have Google and the Docs. I don't remember all of the Bootstrap classes, but I've used a handful of them like 100 times by now. So just by like lots of repetition, you'll pick up and remember things. For all the other stuff, things that you'll need on an as-need basis, you just look it up. So don't worry about like remembering things. That there's just too much damn stuff to remember, and it's constantly changing. Have the attitude of, okay, go with the flow. Just build. If I need something, look it up.
Stop playing with me asks, which is a very strange name, by the way. I feel like maybe this dude got dumped or was strung along. Anyhow, that's for another conversation.
Okay, stop playing with me, man.
Yeah, stop playing with me. How do the big
Right.
companies view applicants who learn via boot camps rather than traditional college degrees?
So I mainly interviewed with smaller companies, but generally, I think the consensus, or I think like the general like attitude, is that uh, that let me back up here. A lot of job postings, they have that computer science degree like required or preferred. I think statements like this is just to kind of discourage people, to shorten like the number of applicants who apply. Those postings are usually written by HR specialists or project managers, not really technically minded people. So whether or not you have a computer science degree, you've gone to a boot camp or not, I think most companies, they are looking for individuals who can demonstrate that they have the ability to learn new things quickly, that they can assimilate into the company culture. They can demonstrate, they have a wide range of skills by showing, applications and projects that they've built, but by showing work that they've built like alone and with the team. So I think you can get away and find a job and be successful in your job search without having spent thousands of dollars at a boot camp or for a computer science degree at a 2 or 4 year university. You just have to hustle a lot and definitely meet people. Try to reach out to them and initiate a conversation. But I think most companies have the attitude that do you have the skills that we're looking for? Can you be a badass developer in the making? Are you a promising candidate? And I think that's totally okay for most companies. Other companies like Google, well, they are looking for someone with a solid like foundation of computer science skills. But a lot of the smaller mid-sized companies, I think they give people like us a chance, people who have changed careers a chance, which is awesome.
I think you brought up a good point about the recruiters, because I know when I was applying, I didn't put Git or like GitHub on my resume.
Mm-hmm.
And I had, in one day, I had 3 phone interviews, and all 3 brought it up to me that like I was out of my mind for not putting Git or GitHub on there. But it's because even though we're going to use Git, it's like a lot of recruiters just have this checklist. Like, do you have this? Do you have this? Do you have this? And
exactly.
They're HR. They don't know what HTML is. They just say, hey, he didn't have it on his resume, so we're going to shoot that guy aside.
Exactly right. And so, just go through your LinkedIn. Have a friend or a mentor look through your resume too, and don't be discouraged by these like seemingly like high barrier sort of job postings. It was not written by technical people. Just go ahead and apply, and you can clear up anything in the interview or the email correspondence.
My advice when looking at job apps, if you meet 50% of the requirements, you're probably in the top like 20% of candidates, because some of these job apps for junior roles are like absolutely ridiculous. That the perfect candidate is already hired as a senior developer somewhere else. So you're looking for a junior dev. If you meet 50% of the candidates, you probably have a pretty good chance.
Yeah, I think so too. Absolutely.
Oh man. Let's see here. Any other good questions? Let's see. All these others are a little too specific. Anything you wanted to talk about while we're here? I think we discussed everything that I kind of wanted to cover today.
Yeah, look, guys. I mean, if you really want this, if you really want to make the move and change careers and possibly turn your life around and make some more money or do something worthwhile. If you really want a career in programming, it can happen. It's not going to happen overnight. It may not happen over 3 or 4 months, but it will happen. And you just have to keep hustling and working and practicing and coding every day. You have to stay in touch with people, meet people, start groups, help other people, contribute to projects. But eventually it is going to happen. So don't give up. Don't feel like you won't ever be ready. I still feel like that now, but according to my coworkers, I'm doing a pretty good job. So all of that doubt and fear that you have, it's mostly generated by you. That's just all in your head. So just do it. Remind yourself of the reasons why you're doing it, and for me, that gave me the fuel to keep going for a long, long way. Remind yourselves why you're doing this, why you're getting a new career.
Nice. If anybody wants to follow you, where can they go? Your YouTube or Twitter or anything like that?
Man, I'm all over the web. You can find me at my YouTube channel. I am Mr. Steve Mayeux, and I'm sure we'll share the link with the viewers another time. You can find my free code camp tutorials and other tutorials there. You can go to Twitter, and I am at ESL Hip Hop. So that's my old teacher account, but I still use it for.
ESL Hip Hop? Is that what I
Yeah, that was my first website. It was a WordPress blog, and I was teaching English using hip hop music. So that was my first sort of kind of delve into the programming world using WordPress. But that's my Twitter handle as well, ESL Hip Hop. It's a pretty cool website, man. I'm really proud of it.
You know what? When I chop this video, it's still up, the website?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can go to it right now. Yeah,
we're gonna when I chop this video up later on, we're definitely gonna have to visit that and add it to the outro or something. We're gonna.
Oh yeah, totally, man, totally. They got some really cool stuff, videos of me breaking down and like rapping and stuff. So I'm really proud of all that stuff. It's really fun. Just that's probably the best way to get in touch with me. Twitter or send me a message or a comment on YouTube.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Stephen Mayeux. I know I think we talked about a lot of great things. I just want to show off his site, ESL Hip Hop. It's a nice WordPress site. If you go to videos, you can see where he's dropping them beats. Oh snap, it's hella cold outside. So you can go ahead and check that out, have some fun. That's eslhiphop.com. Thanks to him for being on this interview, and I look forward to doing another one with him in the future. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. Special thanks to our sponsor, Dev Mountain. Go to devmountain.com if you're interested in coding boot camps where housing is included in the tuition, so you can get up and go and not have to worry about where you're going to live. You can just go and immerse yourself fully in the experience and check them out. And special thanks to you who support me on Patreon. If you want to make sure I keep putting out more content, Patreon's a great place to support me. But as always, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.